I want to welcome our PCTV viewers back to the June Eye on Piscataway. We had a very action-packed month of May, from celebrating the 100th anniversary of the Metuchen Edison Y at the Pines Manor to visiting East Jersey Old Town to find out what's going on during the summer months. Also visiting a Sterling Village picnic, as well as the highlights of the Jackie Robinson Day up on Green Acresville. We also have prom pictures from the Piscataway High School pre-prom, and then also video from Fireman's Memorial Service and also the Memorial Day service in conjunction with the American Legion at Veterans Park. So now let's go to the video. So now the Sterling Village is the first group to have the first official picnic of the 2022 summer season. So I want to give you guys credit for doing that.
And shine through the morning. Take both feet now and jump right in. Go, take hold of the moment. Keep it on till the night rolls in. Till the night rolls in. From the mountain at the top, you could touch the sun. See the silver lining in every cloud that flies above. You got me believing
The 2022 Peter J. Barnes Jr. Community Champion Award is given to Mayor Brian C. Wahler.
There's one thing that nobody ever questioned about Pete Barnes. It was his integrity. And to have my name on that award means a lot. I want to just what the Y and the Piscataway Community Center means to us. You know, it's not too often, and I was speaking to the engineers from Grotto Engineering tonight, that when people drive by a building, they said, I actually like how that building looks. That doesn't happen too often in government circles. So a normal day, and Kyle knows this with the professional staff, it starts very early in the morning, especially when school's in. You have the high school swim team that rolls through in the morning. They actually are not in the dungeon anymore in New Brunswick. They're actually in Piscataway Township turf. You know, and then you have seniors that come in a little later after school starts at 7 o'clock, that they're doing their therapy, if they've had surgery or just trying to burn some calories off. And then afterwards, what they'll do is they'll go to the cafe and they'll sit with their contemporaries and talk about everything about life or what they have to do, talk about their grandkids, their unfortunate son-in-laws maybe that they're mentioning, so like my mother-in-law does. And then you have, that's the early AM pull. And then you have the art studio, where you have a lot of seniors there nurturing potential folks that might be a Picasso or Andy Warhol, or showing them how to crochet or knit or make some type of mat. And it's a generational thing that
people in Piscataway have really gravitated and taken it, that's their building. It's our building. And that's what the Y is about. And then you have the dance studio. Now, they use all type of action over there. And by the way, have you ever been on that floor in that studio? It's on rubber suction cups. So it's good for your knee joints and everything. You have a lot of mothers who've maybe have had working a job and so taking care of their families, and they need to decompress after a work day. And they'll come in and they'll do their Pilates or yoga, right? So they try to get me to do yoga. I said that would not be a good picture for the mayor, doing yoga. Or although they want to burn some calories and do Zumba. And then you move over to the teen center. It's really funny in Piscataway now. When the high school lets out, you see at least 20 or 30 kids every day either going through Green Acres or on the multi-use path on Route 18, all heading to the Y. And then a little bit, 45 minutes later, you have the grade schools letting out, all gravitating. Why? Because they're safe there. They're with their colleagues. And the Y and the police department protects them. That is one thing that the people of Piscataway like. We take care of our own. Then, oh, and by the way, they go in there, and yes, Dr. Rowley, I do see some of the kids actually studying over there. Other than playing PlayStation or Xbox or kibitzing around the cafe and everything, eating all that unhealthy fruit stuff. Why? I'm a cheesesteak guy. Then you have the training facility over there where you have a lot of professional staff from the Y, Kyle and his team, really looking out for folks of all abilities over there that really need to work. And we want to make sure, as public officials here, we want to make sure there's wellness. We don't want to see people get, seriously ill out there. So if we can prevent illness by maintaining healthiness, that's a good thing publicly. Then you have the track team during inclement weather, that maybe someday we're going to see someone be a Carl Lewis Olympian or Jackie Joyner Kersey up there on the track going around. By the way, 14 times around on the outer lane is 1 mile. And then you have, on occasions, you'll see the high school golf team come in, which, by the way, we won a sectional in 2021, and I like to think that I like to think that the simulators contribute to that. Going up, and it's kind of funny because some of these high school students, the golf bags are bigger than them. They're carrying them up the flight of stairs. And then you have the basketball, the volleyball court, and the volleyball court, which, we will have another Carl Towns, we will now have another John Celestan, we will have another Val Walker, we will have another Aisha Jones come out of there. Now, these are all highly famous basketball players that came out of Piscataway. And it's nice to see between the Department of Recreation under John Cherney's tutelage over there and the AAU League, and watching the students develop over there and work, and what team effort is going on. And occasionally they'll have the mayor of Piscataway and the grunge look come over there and shoot some hoops. And occasionally as Kyle knows, I do make some hoops here and there. And pickleball, that's like a huge rage. Who's a pickleball fan in here? Come on, one more, there's gonna be one. Well, Kyle, we gotta figure out the pickleball thing because that's, unfortunately, when we finished the design of the building, pickleball wasn't in style then. But I wanna get very seriously, quickly, what the building means other than athletics. On occasions, after 9 o'clock, 9:30 at night, you will have our first responders there, practicing swift water rescue routines in the pool. And we all know what happened with Ida. And I like to think that pool had a lot to do with saving a lot of residents around Middlesex County. And then during Ida, you had a lot of people that were evacuated all over the county, Prenderburg and Piscataway Township, especially along the Raritan River. You had people that were bewildered and taken out in the middle of the night in 20 feet of water, being rescued by boats by our first responders, not knowing what's going to happen with their lives. Fortunately for us, when we designed that building after Hurricane Sandy, and I know Rob DeLeo knows this, everything, the whole dynamics, the mission of that building changed. We wanted to make sure, as Sheriff Scott knows, that it was going to be an official evacuation site, because I did not want us to rely on another community. I wanted to make sure that Piscataway was going to take care of its own, and if we have to, other communities too. And what ended up happening was, when we had to evacuate the folks from the river, we were running short on first responders. And I made a call to a gentleman, and he showed up with the senior citizen bus. And when the residents were down there at the apartments to be taken, who was it? None other than our chief of police, Tom Mosier. Tom drops the residents off. I was there with the keys to open the building up. Kyle didn't know I had a set of keys. And then our Department of Public Works was there to help put up cots, and we made sure that the people were fed and they had a place of security for the next 3 days. And I want to thank the residents of Piscataway, especially the ones who are members of the Y. For 3 days, they were not allowed to go into the building because we had probably maybe 45 families living in the gym, set up like a Russian tenant house with sheets, everything, blankets like there. And I like to think that we did the best we could for the residents or time of crisis. And what really struck me was the fact that the residents who couldn't come in and use the equipment, they actually wanted to know what they can do to help. So what they did was they started making meals and dropping them off there. So, sorry, it's a little emotional, but the building operated the way it should have. Maybe a few tweaks, Kyle. But you know what? If we had to do it all over again, I like to think that we incorporated everything in that building because it's going to last many generations. And you know what? I think that fits what the Y is all about. I accept this award for the 61,000 people of Piscataway Township.
It's my pleasure to welcome you to this event as we recognize and honor the 75th anniversary of Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier and entering the Major League Baseball. We just want to thank you for joining us this morning. This is a joint venture that we've been working on all year long between Piscataway Township, Piscataway Township Schools, the Piscataway Civil Rights Advisory Commission, who is leading us on this effort, Piscataway Little League, as well as the Piscataway YMCA Piscataway Youth Center. Please give all of those wonderful organizations a round of applause. As you know, Jackie Robinson 75 years ago broke the color barrier, and it is our pleasure to come together as a community, as a diverse community, to acknowledge those barriers that were broken. And today is a celebration of all that Jackie Robinson had to endure and all that he achieved, so we can be here today as we look around, many different ethnic backgrounds, many different beliefs, many different colors. We can be here today to celebrate what Jackie Robinson helped lead 75 years ago. While we remember our history, to truly honor Jackie Robinson's legacy, it is important that in addition to celebrating today, that once we leave here today, we remember that while many barriers have been broken over these past 75 years, there are still many barriers that have yet to be broken. And so let's take what we learned from Jackie Robinson and use that as adults for us to continue to break barriers, but even more important, to let our children know that even today, they have what it takes, just like Jackie Robinson, the fortitude and the strength to break barriers of their own in the years to come.
Listen, I really want to thank everybody who was involved in planning this, because I know there was many meetings over in my office on this. But for those the young T-ball players out there and some of the little leaguers that are wearing this Let's Play Ball shirts, those were given to us by the United States Conference of Mayors and also Major League Baseball. So we were able to contact Major League Baseball. So those shirts that you're wearing is through the U.S. Conference of Mayors and Major League Baseball. And I want to thank the design of the blue shirts. I know it's not normal Piscataway colors, but however, they are Jackie Robinson colors from the Brooklyn Dodgers. So that's why the Township Seal logo and Jackie Robinson on there. And I want to thank the Jackie Robinson Foundation for allowing us to perform this ceremony here today.
Grandpa, tell me about the Brooklyn Dodgers. I mean, you broke the color barrier when you started first base in 1947, right?
Yeah, you have a lot of information, grandson. But, well, first I was signed by the Negro League team, the Kansas City Monarchs, and that was in 1945. Now, I was hitting .387. I mean, at that time, professional ball players of color, they could only play in the Negro Leagues. Now, Branch Rickey, he was an executive for the Brooklyn Dodgers. And he was scouting for the Negro Leagues. And he was looking for talented ball players who would handle the constant racism that would be part of integrating the Major League Baseball team. But, I mean, he could have chose any of the Negro League players because they were all excellent ball players, but they were looking for the one who could stand and endure the constant racism that we had to face. Mr. Rickey interviewed me, and I was signed in 1945 with the Dodgers, the farm team in Montreal, the Royals. Okay, and then 1946, I batted .349 for the Royals. It was exciting and rewarding, but it came with a price. I mean, we'd be on the road, and the grandpa, you know, I had to eat and sleep in different places because of the color of my skin. I mean, I would go to a restaurant and the waiter, I mean, sometimes he wouldn't even take my order just because of the color of my skin. And we would check into a hotel and they would not even allow me to sign my name on the registration. Some Brooklyn Dodgers signed a petition against me joining the team, just me against joining the team. I mean, I faced constant racial abuse as baseball's first black player. Brother. All right, okay. Oh, you did good. You did well.
First pitch is up and strike one. We are underway here on Jackie Robinson Day.
Leading off the game is Zakiah Riddick. Just a bit outside.
Beautiful day here. Thank you, everyone, for coming. The rain held out. Here we go.
That's a good cut on that ball. A little high there. Don't help the pitcher out. Ladies and gentlemen, we're starting with a 1-1 count in today's game. We have one out in the top of the first. Matt Applegate comes to the plate.
Liner between third, off the glove.
Good try by the third baseman here. Left fielder comes up with the ball, brings it back into play, and that we're going to give an infield single to Matt Applegate.
First base hit of the day, Matt Applegate.
One out, one on. Next at bat is Laura Taylor, batting third.
It says here Laura's favorite TV show is Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Oh, that's the pitcher's glove. Shortstop comes up with it, and we got safe at second. Good hustle play there by the runner. We'll give that one an infield single as well. One out, two on. The cleanup hitter, Christine Lepsky. Ooh, nice hit ball left field. That's gonna get through to the fence. One run is in.
Ground rule double.
Ground
the ball
rule
is
double.
Stuck under the fence, I believe.
I don't know about that, Brock. Do you think she kicked it out there?
Be a smart play.
Yeah.
Sure would.
One run is in. Next up, looking to do damage, Big Ken Walker.
He looks like a veteran in there. Looks ready, calm, relaxed.
The spikes look clean.
Shined him up this morning. Oh, hit him.
Just a bit inside. This is a family event, ladies and gentlemen. A little brush back never hurts, part of the game. Fastball is trying to take it the other way. We're foul. We got a 2-2 count. It's a great hustle by the fans over there getting that ball back in. Now we're using 2 balls, but that's okay. Great teamwork by everyone there. Sharp shot down to third. Third's up. Nice scoop up by first base to retire the batter.
We got a spill at home plate.
In. Brock, I don't know if that was a slide or a coordinated sit down.
Coordinated fall.
I like that. I like that. That's 2 runs in. Runner on third base with 2 outs. Now up, Ashley Patinsky. It's a good eye by the batter there. Ashley, good eye. 2 balls, 1 strike. Oh, nice cut.
That was a great cut.
Foul ball. 2-2. Great turnout today, Brock.
Couldn't ask for better weather.
Absolutely.
Maybe the sun will peek out even in a few minutes.
Oh, fly ball to right center. That ball is down. 1 run will score. It's an RBI single with it for Ashley with 2 outs. Trying to keep the inning rolling. We have up next Marissa Nagy. It's a foul ball tip. 1 ball, 2 strike count. Tried to get her to chase, didn't work. 2-2. Ground ball to the pitcher, she's up with it, and the side is retired.
Some good fielding there in the first inning.
Fundamentals. Well done. Heading into the bottom of the first inning, we have the away team winning 3-0. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Leading off for the home team, Piscataway alumni, Shirley Alviles.
It is Megan Wells. I know Megan. Good luck up there, Megan.
Oh, you know what? It is. You were correct. Brock, that's why you're the best backup guy in the game.
Doing what I can.
Strike 2 on the pitch there. Ball hit to right center field. That ball is down. Rounding first. Mega pulls up with a nice leadoff single. Hey, Brock, guess who's up now?
Shirley Aviles?
That's right.
There we go.
Shirley's getting a lot of airtime today. Pitches up back to the pitcher, caught in the air, double play! Cat-like reactions by the pitcher. First base was there and ready. That is good, fundamental softball.
through 5 outs, we've seen some top-notch fielding so far.
Unbelievable.
This is
You wonder if
great.
fatigue will come into play later in the game. The 3-hole hitter, Rodney West, coming up looking to do some damage.
Rodney owns 10 Bitcoin.
Oh, swing and a miss. It looks like it's down to 9 now.
Oh.
Ooh, Rodney's taking a pitch there. Good eye there. 2-2. Rodney tries to pull it to right field. Second base up with the play. Oh, good stretch by the first baseman. Held the bag. He is out.
He does not believe so. He's saying, go to the review. First baseman did not stay on the bag. Umpire won't hear it. He says the inning's over.
We all know we had a major event in this town about 6+ months ago called Hurricane Ida. Everybody stepped up here that was out here today. I still receive a lot of thank yous from residents throughout the town of the job that you did evacuating a lot of our residents, both through the apartments and other sections of town. While your own homes may have been damaged during the storm, you were out there helping your fellow citizens. That is sheer dedication out there. And I know that a lot of times that goes unrecognized, but it's not unrecognized by myself and members of the governing body, because we truly appreciate that, and we will continue to be supportive in those endeavors.
This Fireman's Memorial, starting with this statue, was erected in 1983. And the reason I mention it is because there is a history to everything that we do. And this year we lost one of the prime movers in establishing the Fireman's Memorial, and that was a gentleman named Paul Rabone. The Rabone family is here today, and I can remember Paul because I was mayor at the time, knocking on the door saying we have to recognize the services of our men and women in the fire service, rescue squads as well, for all that they do for the people of Piscataway. So he hustled in 1983 to get the money together for this first statue. And I remember the first ceremony, and I remember most of the 37 since then. And I think what we find to be proven is he was absolutely right. You know, we're one of the 100 best towns in America in which to live, voted that way at least 4 times. Well, why do you think that's true? Because of you.
It takes a special person to serve as a first responder. Being a firefighter is in our American blood. Fighting fires, performing dangerous rescues, and doing jobs that may kill us is what makes us who we are, American firefighters. Tonight we are remembering our firefighters, but we also remember those who assisted us while performing our duties. Where would we be without our law enforcement and EMS personnel? As Memorial Day approaches, we must remember and pay tribute to those who have answered their final alarms. Those brave men and women who risk lives for protecting the residents and visitors of the community.
Thank you. I would like to first recognize the veterans among us today. We are in awe of your courage and in debt of your sacrifice. I want to thank the American Legion for hosting this event. On behalf of the Township Council and myself, please know how grateful we are for you that you contribute to our community. As we gather here today, a war rages on the other side of the world. A democracy is under attack by a despicate regime. Soldiers and civilians have been killed. Millions have sought refuge in Eastern Europe. No one in Ukraine caused this war, yet their cities and villages are being destroyed. The fabric of their nation is being torn. And why? Because they exist as free people. Because there are dictators in this world who don't like liberty and crave power. We are no stranger to this story. Americans have been sent across the globe to defend our country and defend democracy. So many lives, their lives were cut short. They died in lands, seas, and skies far away so our townships, our cities, and our families would remain safe. For their bravery, the cause of American liberty continues. They died in a world as we should not be, so would know a world of security, liberation, and freedom. Our gratitude for their sacrifice is profound. On Memorial Day, on every day, their example should be our guiding light. Our lives, our country, our ideals ensure because of them. Whether they rest in a grave known or unknown, in America or abroad, let their memory rest in our hearts. So again, to the veterans here and elsewhere, to those serving today, thank you, thank you, and thank you.
Welcome all who came out this morning to honor our fallen veterans. My name is Ron Valicki. I am the commander of the American Legion, Post 261 in Piscataway. I also served in the United States Navy. This day is not about me or others who stand today wearing regular clothes. We are here today at this beautiful park on this beautiful day to honor those who sacrificed their lives in protecting our freedom and borders. For those young soldiers, they do not have the opportunity to wear street clothes. They sleep silently in uniforms. They sacrifice their lives in our defense. Take a moment to remember someone who passed, someone who was special to yourself or someone you knew who passed away, and sleep in honored uniform for our freedom. For they keep an watchful eye above us. God bless America. God bless our soldiers. And keep us safe. Thank you.
You're here.
I'd like to have our Ladies Auxiliary President, Dorothy Twist, say a few words right now.
I just wanted to say good morning, everyone. And for those of you who don't know me, again, my name is Dorothy Twist. I'm the current sitting president of the American Legion Auxiliary, Post 261 of Piscataway. So today, as America celebrates this Memorial Day, let us remember that the day is our way to pay tribute to those who have given their lives in our nation's wars. Looking up today at our American flag, we should all acknowledge that our flag does not fly because the wind moves it. It flies high with the last breath of each soldier who died protecting it. So on this Memorial Day, we pray for all those who courageously laid down their lives for the cause of freedom. May the example of their sacrifice inspire us all with a selfless love of country. In closing, I would like to share a poem by Lenore Henrik. It's called Our Memories. If we remember those who are gone, then they live again. They are here once more. They smile and speak, just do as living men. So let us give our thoughts to the brave upon this Memorial Day. In spiritual fellowship, let us speak and listen to what they say. For a soldier who died for his country must know much that he could tell. And if we caught the message, it might serve us oft and well. So in our memories, let the dead linger often and long. Recollections of that kind live and are the springtime song. So let's not forget our veterans today and every day. Happy Memorial Day, and thank you for coming.
Thank you, Dorothy. I also want to give a special thanks to Colleen Pagano. She did so much to make all this happen. I don't know if you want to say a few words, Colleen?
Of course you do.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out on such a beautiful day. This day we're not going to say thank you for Memorial Day because we really don't say thanks for our dead, but we thank them who put themselves to rest, who got shot, put themselves to rest, and they're in a grave in their uniforms for us. But I do want to say, everybody be prepared for next year this time, because we're going to be in a parade that's going to be bigger and better than anything we've ever seen. Thank you.
All right, right now I'd like to retire the colors.
Right, hey. Calm to the left, step, forward.
And I'd like to bring it back to Mayor Wahler.
Thank you, Commander. As we close out, I want to thank the folks on behalf of Senator Smith and the county officials and our township council members. I want to thank the Ladies Auxiliary and the leadership team over at the American Legion. And as Colleen said, most people don't understand the planning actually starts a year ahead of time. So those groups will be receiving letters, I believe, within the next week or two for inviting for the 2023. And as Colleen said, we're going to have a bigger and better parade, given the fact that we haven't had a parade in a couple of years. So let's all give a round of applause for these men and women here who are there. And especially, I want to thank the bugler and the color guard right here. Well, thank you, everybody. Please, while you're at home today, sitting around with family members, just be cognizant of the fact that we're allowed to sit and relax on this day because somebody served in uniform to defend us. So with that, thank you very much. Well, it's a very quiet afternoon here in East Jersey Old Town, and I am fortunate enough to have Mark Nonestad from the county historian here at East Jersey Old Town. And we're in the Queen's Tavern here. And back during colonial times, this would not have been quiet. Just you would have heard the clanking of the dishes and people coming in and the horses in the background and a lot of noise and cooking near the fireplace and a very active site here during the Raritan. So Mark, now that we have you on the show, you might want to tell us what Middlesex County people and Piscataway residents can expect in East Jersey Old Town for the summer months. I know you have an action-packed agenda here at the East Jersey Old Town, as we're filming here right now. You have some tour groups from some of the school systems here in Middlesex County that are coming through here, where tours are being given by the live, not actors, but people who work here. So take it away, Mark.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. And right, we do have a number of school groups that have been visiting us today and from now towards the end of the school year. In fact, we're very happy to be getting back into the
Yeah.
swing of things. I mean, COVID, like many sites, put us out for a while, and we had to shift and pivot what we were doing. But you know, it's nice to be bringing people back and educating them and talking about the great history of Piscataway and of Middlesex County. East Jersey Old Town is such a great place to do that because it is, in essence, it's a collection of historic buildings from the 17 and 1800s that in the 1970s and 80s, these historic buildings were relocated to Johnson Park so that they could be protected and preserved. And we use them to tell the county's story, and we do that through exhibits, programs, and living history.
And on any given weekend throughout the year, you actually have a living history of folks that are actually going about what times were like living in a village like such as East Jersey Old Town throughout New Jersey and Middlesex County.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's really, it's a newer, dynamic, interpretive platform that we've launched here. And they are on site from April through October. Our public hours were open Wednesday through Sunday, Wednesday to Friday from 10 to 4, and Saturdays and Sundays from 12 to 4. And there's an entire contingent of living history folks that are practicing many of the traditional trades in the Raritan Valley. We have a print shop with this wonderful antique equipment from the 1800s and 2 printers operating these antique presses. A blacksmith. We have interpretation from the Revolutionary War period with the soldiers, which of course is important in telling that history.
And I believe, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, you're probably a little bit more better at the history aspect of this, is that I believe there was more revolutionary battles fought in New Jersey than any other state.
Yes, and in fact, the federal government recognized that a number of years ago. They've designated parts of New Jersey as the crossroads of the American Revolution National Heritage Area. And our site is, we act as a gateway to many of the sites in the central part of the state. And in 2026, I mean, just somewhat around the corner, America is going to be celebrating its 250th anniversary of American independence. So, you know, New Jersey's connections, the county's connections, Piscataway's connections to that history is very strong. And so we try and tell that story again with living history interpreters portraying you know, folks from the American Revolution. We also have home and hearth demonstrations, cooking.
Which I think you're not going to see Martha Stewart here, but however, you're going to see what it was really like to deal with what it was like making a meal, dealing with the ingredients that were at hand at that time period.
Yeah, and much of it sourced off of local farms. So we do also agricultural interpretation. We work our fields with antique equipment as well, and we plant heirloom crops and varieties that would have been around a long time ago. And it's great because a lot of these trades, they feed off of one another, and you know, they work well together again in telling that story. We even have an entire baseball team, the New Brunswick Liberty, which is a baseball team that was formed in New Brunswick in the 1850s, and they play by the rules from the 1800s. And they play other teams and leagues throughout the region.
So you were just, a few minutes ago, you were just speaking about how you have a garden and everything. In this day and age, in the 21st century, most people either go to Lowe's, Home Depot, or a nursery, and they pick their plants up that are already grown. Back in colonial times, you did it by seed.
Right, yep.
Which is more of a challenge.
Yep, yeah. And, you know, again, I think that's the real value that we add with living history, is it's showing people what things were like a long time ago, and, you know, making that connections to our lives today. You know, sometimes it's very different. Sometimes there's similarities in it. So, you know, we're very fortunate with the county support to have these living history interpretive platforms here. And it's added a tremendous new dynamic for folks that are coming to visit. So
you're the historian here, and obviously there's a lot of other folks in the county that help you out to operate this fine facility.
What is it, in your opinion, what is the most fascinating building history-wise for you here in East Jersey Old Town?
Well, that's a great question. Part of me wants to say I like it all, and I do.
But something
yes.
has to have an outstanding point where, as far as history goes, that I'm not saying that they're all valuable,
right.
but there's always something that has the edge over the other.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's we have a wagon house. It's a barn type building that houses some of the agricultural collection, and it was originally part of the Runyon Farm from Piscataway, and it was relocated.
For those folks, Runyon Avenue.
Yep. And the collection of the agricultural equipment that we have is fascinating. It's very mechanical.
Is that comparable to what Cook College has at their museum?
Right. Well, so they used to have the New Jersey Museum of Agriculture, which unfortunately closed a number of years ago. Some of the artifacts we have came from that collection, and so we're fortunate to have acquired some of that and have it on display here. And then there's other pieces too that we demonstrate with. It's interesting seeing how this equipment worked. I think that's helps folks make the connection to those pieces, because some of them aren't static. It's difficult to understand how things work unless you see it. And we have the ability to operate some of that machinery. And again, it's just part of that building, that living history platform that we have here.
So a lot of the things, do you have to read back through old history books to how to operate some of the things? I mean, it's not like you can go Wikipedia today and find out how to use some colonial equipment.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, right? With some of it, yes, there's old manuals and things that we can find. Another interpretive platform we just launched is brick making. Of course, that was an important trade here in Middlesex County. And fortunately, there's enough literature out there that we're able to recreate the hand molding and hand making of bricks that they did 150 years ago. And then there's other trades. We have a stone carver here that works with a mallet and chisel, carving designs onto the stone, again, that they would have done in the colonial time. That's been probably the most challenging, because there's not a lot of information about how they created those designs and so forth. But that's also why we do it, right? Because we can learn by recreating those trades.
So all the folks that the millennials and everybody else, they're now all you're going to have a 3D printer and you can replicate something now. Unlike in colonial times, everything was literally done from scratch.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and then of course, the living history is one part of it. The buildings have exhibits inside of them. As you mentioned, we're in the tavern, this building was originally in New Brunswick. It was one of the early buildings to be saved and relocated here to East Jersey Old Town. And in the rooms, we show what tavern life was like back then. And we have it set up according to that, including archaeological artifacts that were recovered from the original tavern site. We have those on display. We have an entire exhibit in one of the buildings on Raritan Landing, which was a port community in Piscataway near Landing Lane.
It's hard to believe that it was a port community.
Yep. Yeah, sailing vessels coming up the Raritan River, trading goods in and off of the docks and the warehouses that were there. You drive down River Road, you wouldn't even know it exists. It's gone for the most part, except for the Mettler House and the Cornelius Lau House and all of the buried archaeological artifacts.
Well, for those folks, like when my parents were growing up here in this area, they used to be able to take a ferry from New Brunswick to Rye, New York, to go to Rye Playland. So that was very prevalent back then. And now you see historically now a lot of the towns along the Raritan River, South Amboy, Carteret, are trying to get ferry service in and out of there. So like 200 years later, 100 years later, they're going back to that mode of transportation.
Yeah. Well, and you raise an excellent point too about the connection communities have with the river and the waterways. For Middlesex County, the Raritan and all the tributaries were historically major contributors to the growth of those communities.
Plus the DNR Canal.
Yes, yep, right, exactly, right. The Delaware
At one
River.
time, the DNR Canal had handled more tonnage than New York Harbor did, in its heyday.
Yeah. And that's absolutely important for us to understand, right? It is that connection to the waterway, and as you mentioned, many towns are trying to reconnect because we've, over time, we've strayed from that, and I think we've seen the importance of making those connections again.
So instead of the Delaware DNR Canal being a transportation mode for goods and services, now it supplies us with drinking water.
Yep. Yeah. Great.
It has a new mission.
Yep. Yep.
An important one at that. So.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. So you have a lot of things. What are some of the highlights in June and July that you have going on?
Sure. So the county is celebrating an event called Celebrate Middlesex. It's on June 11th. That's at Roosevelt Park. We will be there with some of the antique equipment that we have demonstrating it, as well as there will be a Revolutionary War fife and drum group. And we also have there will be a cannon, a Revolutionary War era cannon that we will fire off at the top of the hour and demonstrate how that operated. And that's just a great event for the family and children and everyone to come out and enjoy not only what we do, but to see in totality what the county is doing. And then one of our signature events is on July 4th. It's called the Revolutionary Celebration, and it's important in kind of connecting that early history. In Piscataway and Highland Park and Perth Amboy, we're helping with an event there in New Brunswick to make those connections because, I'm sure one of the earliest celebrations of American independence took place on the banks of the Raritan River.
Yeah, that's why we're dubbed First Fourth.
Yep.
Piscataway. So that is going to dovetail when Piscataway celebrating with the Bodine House on July 4th. That'll dovetail in with the county festivities at the same time. And it's a lot of heritage involved. And what are other things going on in the month of July or August for the summer?
Yeah, so, I think the big takeaway is that we're open. Right? You can come Wednesday through Sunday, our public hours, our living history folks will be here. We have the Celebrate Middlesex in June, the July 4th event. But we also have our regular public hours where there's all kinds of living history folks that are here. And that changes from day to day. So you can come on a Wednesday and see a group of people, and there may be different people over the weekend as well. And then, we're gearing up and planning for events through the fall as well. And the county's website has all of the programs and projects that are listed. Not just here, but other arts, history, and cultural happenings throughout the county.
So if you have over the summer, if you're bored and you don't want to spend a lot of money on gasoline traveling around the state, you just come down here to East Jersey Old Town and take in some history of where you live and what the times are like going back then. And it's really New Jersey history too.
Yeah.
And see what period folks lived and worked like that. It's sort of like a very minor replica of Williamsburg.
Yes, yeah.
To a certain extent. And then you don't have to travel the 5 hours down to Williamsburg. You just travel here to Piscataway in East Jersey Old Town, and especially if you live out of the county. Obviously out of county folks are welcome too.
Right.
Because this is part of the state, history tour. So, Mark, I really appreciate you giving us a brief overlay. And I know it was very rough on a lot of people during the pandemic, but one thing I do have to ask during the pandemic, did that allow the staff time to actually fix more things around the East Jersey Island town and also, research, archive more history, and for once you were going to be opened up, you would be ready for the public.
Right, absolutely. There was a big pivot. I think that was the word of the day during the pandemic.
Yeah.
We shifted a lot of our programs to virtual platforms. So we did a tremendous amount of virtual programming, and we still are. We realized, there's a need for that. But yes, it gave us an opportunity to look at sprucing up exhibits and capital projects, et cetera, so that we can make sure things were moving along in those departments.
So if you want to stop by here in the fall to see how the garden's doing, the Colonial Garden and all the tools, the agricultural tools and period folks here, please stop by. It is a unique site here in central New Jersey, not just in Middlesex County, but here in Piscataway Township to take advantage of. And then in the backdrop, you have Rutgers SHI Stadium right there. So with that, we're going to go back to the studio. I want to thank everybody for stopping and watching the June Eye on Piscataway. And next month's episode is going to include a lot of action-packed events that are going on in our township, including the Senior Awards, Street Fair, T-Ball trophies, Flag Day ceremony, Walk for Your Life, Juneteenth, graduation, and July 4th. So we're going to have a lot to see in the month of July. And I want to remind the residents, feel free to stop by our community center during the summer months. And also be cognizant of the fact that the children are out of school now, more kids are on the road and walking around and biking, so just be aware of their safety. So with that, we'll see you then, and stay safe.